Hello, sirs. I'm going to go ahead and hop right into it for our last discussion post. In this discussion forum, rather than answer the following prompt, read Genesis 3, 1 through 7, explain in detail this story in light of the command, do not covet. Can you identify a story from Jesus' life where he overcame the temptation of covetousness? To facilitate discussion, ask your classmates at least one question concerning something you don't understand about this passage. So for the first one, explain in detail in the light of the commandment, do not covet. One of the verses that stick out to me here in this passage, excuse me, I still haven't gotten over last week. The serpent is trying to get Eve to want to bite into the apple. The serpent is definitely trying to instill a desire in her that is going to turn into covetousness. So in verse 6, it says, "So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, which it always has been, and that it was a delight to the eyes, which it always has been, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate." So it's that line right there that was added. Not necessarily that it was that line that was added to her perception of the tree. It was that line that was added to her perception and predisposition toward the commandment not to eat it. She saw that it was to be desired to make one wise. Now, I believe his name is DeYoung, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. The professor that we watched the video on for the 10th word had mentioned that there is a difference between covetousness and desire, but it looks as though in this case, the text definitely said desired. So my question, I'm going to go ahead and hop forward. I actually have two of them. My question is, if that is the case, does that mean that by her desiring it, she had sinned actually before I guess that actually answers my question, because desire isn't a problem. Anyway, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise. It definitely put the thought of her wanting, or perhaps starting to covet, wanting to be as wise as God, or wanting to know good and evil like what God does. Can you identify a story from Jesus' life where he overcame the temptation of covetousness? My mind automatically goes to the Garden of Gethsemane. While he's praying and he's asking for this cup to be removed from him, I can't help but think he's probably wishing that it wasn't him, that he was probably desiring or coveting or fighting off the desire to do so, fighting off the covetousness to not have to do it, maybe to be like one of his disciples, or to be literally anybody else in this world. Say, like, why am I the one that has to die on the cross, right? Why can't it be somebody else? Why can't you just say everybody's good, right? Like God, Father, why can't you just say everybody's good, because you could say that, right? That is what I think Christ may have been trying to overcome the temptation to be covetous, because he's fighting off the temptation to not say, like, why can't it be somebody else, right? Like, why does it have to be this way? But rather he says, "Thy will be done." To facilitate discussion, ask the question to the classmates. Obviously, I started on one a second ago, but this is a question that I've always had about this passage. It says, she took the fruit and ate, and she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both were opened. Does that mean that her eyes were not opened as soon as she bit into it? As soon as she committed that sin to disobey? As soon as she did eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Or did she have to eat it and then give it to Adam and then they both do it? Because that narratively is what I read, that she ate it, nothing happened, Adam ate it, and then they both saw. I don't understand that. I'm curious to see what you guys think about that.